Hello there and welcome to Almost 30 Podcast.
Hello, welcome. It's Lindsay Simsick and Krista Williams.
Still Williams.
Still Williams.
Still
when
Williams.
When will she take on his name?
Yeah, literally. Even when I was married, I didn't take on the name, but my cats did. They still have his last name.
That's nice.
Fuji
really nice.
last name of him.
Yeah.
And I asked them, I said, "Do you guys want to keep the last name?" And they said, "Sure."
Okay.
I said, "Okay." Just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
You know?
It's easy.
But it should probably change to
Williams
Fuji
does
Williams.
too.
I know. Fuji and Oogie Williams.
Are they a like bass guitar duo?
Yeah, dude, so true. Fuji and Oogie Williams. Those are my cats' names.
They're like prodigies.
Dude, honestly. We were going to name either Fuji, was one of our cats, one of my cats, and we were going to name Fuji Spooky Juan Pablo, but that didn't happen.
Oh, that's cute.
Spooky Juan Pablo is a good
What's that
one.
from?
Just made up.
Oh, okay.
There's
Yeah, I
no,
like that.
Fuji is no rhyme or reason. Oogie is Oogway from Kung Fu Panda.
Right.
Who's the master sensei.
Yeah.
So that's one, if you know, you know.
I know.
Essentially.
Do you know how long I didn't know what if you know, you know, like the
Oh, I know.
IKYKY, whatever?
IYK, yes.
Did not know. I didn't know what TLDR meant.
Yeah, too long, didn't read.
Yeah,
too
I
long.
actually couldn't have told you that right now, that that's what it meant.
Really? What did you think it was?
I don't know. Totally something. I don't know.
Yeah, honestly.
When I see it, I just know that someone's going to summarize something for me.
I also, too, I'm like, okay, so if we're doing TLDR, what are we doing the original for?
I know.
Because then I'm just going TLDR.
Well, it's almost like it's almost like a slap in the face. It's like I just wrote
100%.
I just wrote you a long ass email that did not need to be a long ass email.
Yep. It's like you're an artist. No more. TLDR. Now is your Apple phone doing the summaries?
Yeah.
I actually need that for my mental health.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it does summaries. Like as an example, yesterday I sent a message to someone that had sent me a proposal for something that I don't have the capacity for at this moment. And so I sent them this really long text yesterday on the flight. And I sometimes get like nervous to read it because I feel bad letting someone down. So it summarizes it and it's like, say her name was Annabelle. It's like Annabelle expresses gratitude and compassion and thanks.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, perfect. I'm not opening that text. We're all good, dude. I was like, sounds great. We're summarizing this well.
Yeah, it is actually very helpful.
Yeah. Okay, welcome to the show. Almost 30, spirituality, lifestyle, health and wellness. Today we have on one of my best friends, Natalia Benson, and we are talking about her journey, her divorce, this very powerful portal and process that she's been in. A journey that I've witnessed very closely. It was almost as if I was doing everything just a little bit earlier than her in her process, because we had similar paths with our awakening to needing to leave the relationship or needing to transition the relationship. So this is such a beautiful conversation about change, about transformation, about really following your heart and really knowing when it's time to choose different and when it's time to choose yourself. And then we also talked about the Saturn return. So this really powerful portal, this really powerful time for transformation and how important it is to leverage your Saturn return for your greatest growth and transformation. Or if you've already been in your Saturn return, which is this very important astrological event that we break down in our book, you can look back and see all the parts and aspects of your life that may be a focus for you later, something to think about and work on, or the things that you got right. Because if you were able to really meet the parts of your Saturn return period, a really challenging time in your life, with grace and with consciousness and with belief and faith, and then make your life better, you're on the right path. But if you weren't, these issues that you didn't meet during the Saturn return might come around again.
Yeah. We got a question the other day that was like, oh, if I don't figure this out in my Saturn return, if I don't like fix it, get it right, like what's going to happen?
So true.
And I think that's a real fear once you learn what your Saturn return is. But I think how I've reframed it for myself lately has been, it's a recurring theme in your life that you get the opportunity to meet probably over and over, but each time, especially based on like how you navigated it during your Saturn return and just kind of moved through that change, like you will become more confident with it.
Yeah.
You will become more practiced with it. because I think we think that when we go through times of change, like if we're trying to fix something or heal something, then it will never ever be an issue again.
Yeah.
Like my codependency or my trust in myself.
Yeah.
It's something I've gotten so much better with. But it is a recurring theme in my life.
Yeah.
That like will knock on my door and be like, so now that you're a mom, you kind of have to look at codependency again. Now I'm sure it'll happen again when I'm like midlife and like questioning things. Like, so I don't think we should expect to like never meet it again, but we do get the opportunity to practice and just like be in right relationship with it over time.
I think that's such a great point. And that's what I always implore my clients or anyone that I work with. It's like, how can we see this as practice? I think we always want to get it right. And you always want to have it mastered or be done with it. But it's actually the practice of meeting it, doing a little bit better, seeing how you go, and then loving yourself when you don't fully meet the expectations, being there for yourself when you're not fully, non-codependent or, not loving of yourself. So how can you give yourself grace? I think the amount of grace you show yourself in this process of healing and self-development is really the flex of how far you've come and how much you've grown. And I've done a lot of growth that's led me to more financial success or career success. But the most growth I've done has been loving myself when I'm not succeeding and loving myself when I'm not perfect or loving myself when I'm not all these things. And I still really struggle with that. I've been thinking about lately. So I have a Venus South Node, Pisces North Node, and that's where we're shifting this year in 2025 collectively to Pisces North Node, Venus South Node for the next 2 years. So now the collective North and South nodes is going to also match my North and South nodes. And so it's going to be a really powerful time for me during this process for me to really figure out how to let go of perfectionism, which is my Virgo South Node, the desire to know, the desire to like have everything organized and structured and all these things, and really lean into the more mystical, spiritual part of me, which is like the natural Pisces part of me. And the Pisces is also my sun, and then Virgo is also my rising. So it's just kind of like it's doubled down in a way of how I present to the world. And I think in the process of letting go of that perfectionism, it's like, how can I love myself when I'm seeing how hard I'm trying to be perfect, but then also really let go of that and trust.
Yeah. Easier said than done.
I know.
But I think my North Node is in Aries.
Yes, it is.
Which is wild.
Why? I love that. Sexy.
It's just fire. Like,
I know,
but it's like,
which I like.
Yeah, it's the South Node is Libra, I believe.
Okay, this is too real.
Too real.
Too real.
Yeah. So it's like,
wow.
I think, and I don't know a ton.
This is me knowing nothing about astrology, but knowing that's too real.
Yeah.
the three things that I know about that are real.
I think it's so much about the Aries for me is like stepping into my power, using my voice, like just initiating, like fire starter in my own life. Like it might not be a public display, maybe it is, but like it's more so in like that day to day. But
and then the Libra is that balance, that like self-sacrifice, that like prioritization of others.
Relationships. Yeah,
that's prioritization of relationships.
This is like the individual, which I haven't fully wrapped my mind around.
Oh, I know.
You know what I mean?
I that is the truest thing that I want everyone to think about. What concepts do you know of but haven't fully wrapped your mind around?
Yeah.
I was thinking about that so much lately with so much of the spiritual information or stuff you read online. There's so much that you read, but it doesn't land or hit until later in life. Where it's like even silly concepts like self-love. It didn't land until it landed what we're talking about.
Yes.
Or the presence of the Holy Spirit. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that where you're like, you have to feel it and experience things cellularly to get it. But yeah, I totally know. And even for me, I'll even speak to this. So many teachers have been like, you need to just be yourself. And I'm like, no, what are you talking about?
Yeah. What is that?
What is that? Key and Peele.
You're like the self with a capital S, or are you talking about the,
honestly, I'm like, okay, but describe me. Like, I'll literally say that. I'm like, no, but describe me.
Yeah.
funny,
Gorgeous.
cool. I'm like, okay, I'll be that. Because I'm like, if someone was like to you to be yourself, what would you think?
I don't know, man.
I want to float in the wind.
Yeah, I'm just like,
I'm like a bag in American Beauty. I'm like, what are you talking about?
and I could be so many different things in so many different environments with different people, which people would say, well, then you're not being yourself. But I'm like, actually, that is myself.
Exactly.
Because I'm able to, like, that's what my soul wants to do.
Yeah.
She wants to try on different things.
Yeah.
And like,
exactly. So the concept, and then maybe I'll get it cellularly.
yeah.
I know there's be myself. I know what the self experience is of me being in touch with self, but I don't necessarily in this moment understand cellularly how that translates to the world.
Maybe yours is self just be.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly.
Chew on that.
Chew on that.
But the be part.
Thank you, Sensei.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Sensei.
Mm-hmm. Aho.
So this, I'm excited. Okay, so this was a pleasure and a delight because, let me just say this. So let's just talk about my experience in my leaving my relationship, marriage, whatever you want to call it. And you being witness to me in my process,
Mm-hmm.
and even Natalia very much being a witness to me in my process, and my friends being witness to me in my process, but never imposing on my process and allowing me to be in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I see this all the time with people where you can see for them where this isn't working, but you really just got to let them be.
Yeah.
And figure it out and wake up one day and be like, oh, this isn't for me, this relationship or whatever. But God, there was so many times like I look back now where I'm like, oh, that was not. If you're like, there's so many times I look back now on my relationship and I'm just like, that was not what it should have been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is not the sign of an aligned relationship or an aligned marriage or whatever, but you just don't really know.
No. Well, because it's such a, I think our society has made it such high stakes, right? Like, okay, you're married now, so that means something. You've been together X amount of years, that means something. Yeah. And like, you should be fighting for this. You should be. And like, I don't see it having gone any other way.
No, for sure.
You know, like, like if I track back and you track back, like all of those moments of not seeing it made perfect sense for when you did see it and then made decisions based on that. Like, yeah, it all made sense. And I think for me, like what I really value as a friend and in my friendships is just like allowing each other to be in your process. You can totally be honest. You can be a mirror, but like, it's such an important aspect to relationship because trying to impose your opinion and your experience or some sort of control, it just muddies the waters a lot, you know?
It's not. I have a friend like in my life right now that's trying to impose too much an opinion of who I hang out with, I'm like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Full-blown adult.
I'm my own purse.
Yeah, but I do think it is a little tricky though with relationships because you see someone getting hurt.
Sure.
So that, and so that's what people care.
I think my rule is if there's like verbal abuse, physical abuse, anything that I'm like, whoa, you're kind of in danger, mentally, physically, emotionally, I will say something. But otherwise probably will not. Unless you ask me.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good one. Yeah, it's actually nice to ask your friends like, hey, do you want to be held accountable? Or like, what do you want in this? I think and so you guys will get all the tea in this episode with her. It's just she was just so in her power, and it's so nice when you get out of a relationship that isn't serving you and isn't serving your integrity or your path. And I think we had the similar experience where we were no longer in integrity being in it. And so it makes you a different person. It makes you show up differently.
Sure.
where it's not like you're lying, but you're not being honest because you're saying things that are different than what you're doing. And especially being public figures, it's really hard to be out of integrity in that way, to be talking on a podcast about personal growth, self-development, relationships, whatever, and then go home and be like, how's your day? And like fighting or hiding or whatever. And so you guys are really gonna love this one. You can find Natalia on Instagram at Natalia Benson. You can find her at NataliaBenson.com. She works with women and money. She's also a medium and an astrologer as well. And she's just an incredibly loving, interesting, cool person.
We love you, Natalia. Thank you for being on and sharing something so vulnerable.
We also have one of her quotes in our book, Almost 30, as the Pass the Mic. So in the Almost 30 book, we took some of the best quotes from the podcast over the years, like just the most powerful parts that you can just flip open to and read at any time. So we have quotes from her in our book, Almost 30. You can get and pre-order now at almost30.com/book. You can get pre-order incentives like a free ticket to camp, which is so exciting. We have camp coming up with amazing speakers like Jillian Turecki, Sahil.
We have Rising Woman, Shalina Ayana.
Spirit Daughter, Jenna Zoe.
It's stacked.
It's stacked. It is a fresh lineup, and all you have to do is purchase and pre-order the book, and then you get a free ticket to a day of sessions that have never before been seen. So almost30.com/book, you can get your ticket to camp.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy this one. We'll see you on the other side.
Love you guys.
I am so psyched to share with you guys an incredible scientific breakthrough to support our long-term health and wellness. That's what it's all about. It is about not like lifespan necessarily. Sure, we want to live a long life, but like we want to be healthy for as long as possible. C15 is the first essential fatty acid to be discovered in 90 years. And get this, studies have confirmed that it's 3 times better, broader, and safer than omega-3. I know we've heard, okay, take your omega-3s, but this is better, 3 times better. So basically, Fatty 15, founded by Dr. Stephanie Van Watson, discovered C15 as the first essential fatty acid to be found in over 90 years while working with the U.S. Navy to continually improve the health and welfare of aging dolphins. So interesting. Why is C15 important? Okay, so to put it in context, a new study has come out about the first new nutritional deficiency in 75 years called cellular fragility syndrome. It's caused by a lack of the essential fatty acid C15. So many of us are lacking the proper amount of C15. As many as 1 in 3 people worldwide may have low C15 levels and cellular fragility syndrome. So this can accelerate aging-related breakdown and impair metabolic, liver, and heart health. Pretty major things. So listen, this is really easy to take every single day. It is a simple supplement, and it is a pure form of C15, okay? The only ingredient in fatty 15 is C15. It's 100% pure. So incorporate this into your routine. It is incredible for just repairing damage to cells, protects your cells from future breakdown. It boosts your mitochondrial energy output, you know, that little powerhouse of the cell. And it activates pathways in the body that help regulate our sleep and mood and natural repair mechanisms that support our overall health. So this is major. This is really treating our health on a cellular level. Fatty 15 is on a mission to replenish your C15 levels and restore your long-term health. You can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/almost30 and using code almost30 at checkout. Again, that's fatty15.com/almost30. Use the code almost30 at checkout for 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit. I think one of the best things I did in my home very early on was switch out all of my toxic cookware. I don't know about you, but I started to taste the toxicity in my food, whether it was with my air fryer or with my pans, like all the nonstick coating that's just so bad for us. It has PFAS in them, and these are harmful chemicals that can like stay in you, leach into your food, and then into you. And they're forever chemicals, forever for a reason. They stay in there forever. But I switched them out with beautiful toxin-free high-performance cookware and appliances from Our Place. I just adore them. I am like happy to display Our Place pans on my stovetop. I have their Dream Cooker, which is like a slow cooker, pressure cooker in one. It's incredible. I'm obsessed with it. And all of these are like toxin free and work incredibly well and look beautiful. So I would highly recommend investing in a cookware set that is non-toxic from Our Place. I love their air fryer. I love their dream cooker. You need to be making sure that your food is not being contaminated with toxins because of the cookware and appliances you are using. That is like a no-brainer. We gotta tackle that. So I would highly recommend getting a set. I just think sets are amazing. The Our Place 4-piece cookware set is my favorite. It's the best way to overhaul your kitchen. It's multifunctional, high performance, space saving. It's awesome. I have this set and they come in amazing colors and you're just going to be obsessed. One of the other things I love, and the last thing I'll say is it's easy to clean. Oof, it's so easy to clean. So I just like quickly wash it with water, a little soap, and like just swipe it off and easy. Easy peasy. So whether it's the cookware sets or the Wonder Oven or the Dream Cooker, you are going to be happy and healthy. So stop cooking with toxic cookware and upgrade to Our Place today. Visit FromOurPlace.com/almost30 and use the code almost30 for 10% off site-wide. With a 100-day risk-free trial, free shipping and returns, you can experience this game-changing cookware with zero risk. Enjoy.
I'm so excited to have you.
Oh, it's been a minute, babe. And I mean, over like the 6-7 years we've been bestie boos, like I think it's my third time.
I remember the first time that I met you on the interview where I was on your show. I was in my apartment in 2021.
Yeah.
I think. And I think it was 2021 and
No, 2019.
2019.
Yep.
You're right. You're right. Living in that Santa Monica apartment. I remember exactly where I was and our conversation, and you read my chart. You did some of my chart with stuff. I was with my ex. And yeah, we've been like ever since. I mean, last night we were on the phone on FaceTime, just pissing our pants laughing at our lives because a lot has changed for you.
A lot
Catch
has
us up to
changed.
speed with.
Oh my God, where do I begin? I mean, the last year of my life, let alone the last month of my life, has been nothing but freaking transition. And I remember talking to my therapist the day my husband and I decided to get divorced. And she was like, you're in a transition. I felt like I was out of my body. I had to drive because, you know, we're living together. So I got in the car and I just was like, I need to just drive around because I could feel this is it. And my life is completely about to shift. And I'll never forget those words as like, I was just like borderline, like dry heaving crying, even though I knew it was in my body, in my soul, in my heart. I knew it was the right decision, but change is so terrifying. And I felt scared because I was like, this is what I've known. And this is where I thought I was going. And that is not what's happening. And I'll just never forget when it's like she pierced through my pain in that moment and was like, you're in a transition right now. And there was something about that word that just really, really spoke to me. Because over the last year specifically, you know, I had an IVF attempt. Well, you know all this. Not many other people do. But I had an IVF attempt with my ex that didn't work. I got toxic mold exposure from the house I was living in.
About all this.
Do you remember that?
Dude, keep going.
Remember you'd come over and you'd be like, I feel funny here.
I'm unwell.
Yeah, it was something weird with that house. And what's weird is that, but kind of divine, if the way that I see it, is that, you know, me having the toxic mold exposure actually really, really negatively impacted the IVF. And the truth is me and this person, we weren't meant to move forward together, but we wanted to. And we were on a timeline and we had these ideas of the things we should be doing, even though I think in a core place within both of us, we knew it wasn't right. But it's hard sometimes to see the forest for the trees. You just like, I didn't want to admit it because I'd also already invested so many years. And my belief was always like, we can get better, we can get aligned, we can figure it out. So IVF, mold exposure, I lost my dad in September. I mean, where do I begin? It's
Mediumship is
been
coming
the
online.
mediumship
Your
popped
business has
in.
completely changed.
Yeah, my
You've
business has softened
transformed.
so
You've
much.
softened.
I'm a different
Oh my
person.
God, you guys. I have so many things that I want to say, but that is something that I think both of us have.
We
I was
have,
just,
babes.
it's interesting because in both of our journeys moving to divorce, what both of us have done is completely transitioned from being in our masculines in our marriages.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of our marriages, both completely taking the year before divorce or the year or
Yeah.
so and softening more completely into our feminine than
Yes.
ever before. And it was
Yes.
almost like once we were in our feminine, we were like, this is not working.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to, this process kind of began for me like last August, where I was like, you cannot keep checking out. All the things you do that make you check out is actually after I did Metamorphosis, just a little Heartline plug.
Yeah.
But I mean, that really got me connected to my body's wisdom and I stopped trying to escape what I felt. And that
Mm.
catalyzed a lot of changes for me. And one of them was like, for me, it was around eating. I don't think I realized that to substantiate myself for the lack of true soul fulfillment that wasn't coming through the relationship. And I want to also say, like, me and my ex husband have so much love for one another. We've always been friends, but we couldn't get on the same page as partners. And I didn't really figure out what that was until the moment we were done. I was like, oh, love and partnership are two different things. Partnership, my vision for my life is that my partnership embodies love. But what I think I had to mature and heal through was that just because you have love, it doesn't mean you have partnership. And that I think, I'm turning 38 a month from today. And it's just like, that is one of the most remarkable bits of wisdom that's ever come through for me. But going back to that piece around the escaping through eating specifically, as soon as I decided I'm going to get healthy, I'm going to have a healthier, more, yeah, just a health, like the best word I can use is health, not emotions, in the way that I related to food. The truth, the truth will expose itself quickly. And within a couple months of those transitions, especially me getting so devoted to my health and my workouts and like my spiritual health, everything came to light. And I think and it also gave him the opportunity to be honest with himself that I really, all the things I wanted from him, I just don't think that he wanted them for himself.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
Yep.
And we're powerful people. We're powerful women. And I think that I don't know. I want to hear how you feel about this, babe. I feel like we've had some pretty remarkable,
Very.
like similarities in like our path of growth in this area. But it's just like, I feel like I had to come to this space where I was just like, okay, I can't want for you what you don't want. That's so disrespectful to you. And finally, like I had to like get out of the codependent loop and the control of wanting him to be someone that he perhaps didn't even want for himself. But I don't think he wanted to lose the love, just like I didn't want to lose the love. But the love is still there, but the relationship needed to end. And I was terrified to have that. I had moments last fall. I don't know if you ever had this in your mind where I literally was like, I don't know what I'm going to do without this person. I literally had those conversations, but that was just a fearful part of my mind that is not me. Because then God universe was like, well, you're about to find out because you can't be that like locked in on something that's not truly aligned to your highest timeline on this in this life or to theirs.
Yeah, I think in our I have so many similarities to our journeys, the food and body thing aspect of it, because I think for both of us, or at least I'll speak for myself, I was using food to numb. I was using food to stop myself from speaking my truth. I was using food to soothe. I remember going home from Erewhon, getting like an Erewhon hot bar, eating like 2 or 3 desserts on my drive on my way home to go home because I just wasn't feeding myself And so I was looking for that nourishment and love and that I wasn't getting from my relationship that I now know how to give to myself. And oftentimes if we are avoiding feeling, we are using food. And once you really commit to feeling your feelings when they come up and you don't use food, a new life unlocks because you're like, oh, I'm completely in touch with my life from a sensory level. And so how we are with food can be such an indicator of how we're relating to life. And I think we had that both where I was really using food. And that's why my body's, a lot of reason why my body has changed is not only cellularly the light and vitality being able to move through me and so much of the things I've been doing, but it's like, I don't use food anymore in the same way. I don't need it anymore in the same way.
Babe.
You know, what's interesting too is something I noticed with your path that I really had similarly is I remember when you doubled down and you were like, I'm going all the way the fucking in this relationship. And I had that moment too, where I remember saying to my therapist, this is like, I'm having like a physical reaction to this because I remember it's making me emotional. I remember saying to my therapist, I am doubling down. I've been crying all day. Today's like a tear day for me, but I remember saying I'm doubling down on this relationship and I'm going 2 feet in. I've been 1 foot in, 1 foot out this entire relationship from the beginning. And now I'm going to go all the way in and try. And I needed to have that deep effort at the end to prove to myself that I had done everything I could. And I remember you having that moment too, where you're like, I'm going all the way in.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Oh, of course. The weird thing that I did too, this was sort of like a gesture, so to speak. You actually were with me. We were in Laguna and I was like, I'm going to decorate. It literally looked like an afterthought because we were so misaligned we were misaligned.
I just can't stop laughing because I'm laughing because we was the same.
I know.
It was just like, I was like trying to plug him, I was just trying to plug him in anywhere.
I know.
I was like, you can put like a poster in the closet if you want.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, and that was, I feel bad for him.
No, this was silly, but I remember texting you and being like, I'm going to buy this $700 knot for the wall because it represents union. And you were like, I will make that for you.
Oh no!
I will make that for you from Home Depot.
Wait, you bought a knot for the wall to represent union? I had my ex's initials on a necklace, and I remember showing him and being like, I have our initials together on a necklace. He's like, what?
My old toxic trait was like, business will solve everything. If I work and I make money, that's going to solve my feelings of safety. That's going to solve my feelings of we're not on the same page. And again, even though so much love, so much friendship, there was so much misalignment. And I think that it's so tough to get to that space where it's just like, my word lately has been frickin' surrender. Like, I'm all about my tarot and I keep frickin' pulling the Hanged Man. And the Hanged Man is literally like, surrender, like not your will, but the will, and trust and just let the frick go. And that was, as silly as it sounds, that was like a little moment or a big moment for me where I was like, I'm gonna go all in and set up our space and make it feel good. But it's like, if the underlying like essence isn't there, it doesn't matter if you buy a $700 knot and like hang up your wedding photos. It's just like there were just fundamental things that we just weren't aligned on. And it wasn't until can I tell you something kind of like esoteric? After my dad passed away, I said a prayer to my dad and I just said, Dad, because especially like the mediumship piece and communicating, I was like, please help my partner become a partner because we're not partnered right now. And I don't know how to partner. And my parents were together for 45 years when my dad passed. And so that's something I've learned in like my mediumship journey is like to speak to your ancestors, to talk to the beings in your litany and ask them for their support. And I really witnessed after I said that intention and asked for my dad's support from the other side, I really asked for the clarity. And I was all in still. I was all in until the day that he said, I don't want to work on this anymore.
Yeah, my girl, you were all
Dude,
in.
the loyalty.
My girl was all
I like
in.
meet people now and I'm just like, listen, I'm like, and I'm very honest about this. I'm just like, I'm loyal and I'm truly choosing who to give the loyalty to. Because Aries, like what's interesting about Aries, people don't always attribute this to us, which is interesting. We are actually deeply loyal and deeply sensitive. So we have to decide who we give that to. Because when we're in, we're in. And I was having a chat with myself coming up here today, and I was like, oh, babe, I was like, I forgive you. I was like, I just forgive you for all the people because of like your anxious attachment and wanting quick answers and quick security and quick certainty from people. I see why you've done this. And there's a line in the sand. Like we're not fucking doing this anymore. I've had enough because looking at the timeline of my life, I don't fault anyone else for this, but I really take accountability for all the ways that I gave my love and gave my loyalty, and it just wasn't me being respectful of myself. And I just think like getting older, really figuring that out is changing my life. And I'm so new out of this. Like this is only
It's fresh.
this is like fresh, but it's like the lessons are just, they're right there and they've always been right there. It's like I just had to let go of my obsession with this being it. And as soon as I could let that go, like I called you the day that it was done and I was weeping, but then we were laughing because it was just like, I know this is right. And my heart knows this is right. It's just hard.
Yeah, it's so interesting because it's like you're doing it and you're witnessing your body crying or having the moment, but your soul is like, yep, we're doing this. You know, I just will never forget. It was just like soul was like, we are doing this. And I obviously was sad. I obviously had emotion. But it's a different experience when you're guided through something.
Yeah.
And you're just like, no, this is true and real. And now almost everything in my life, it's like, I can have emotional reactions and experiences, but I know the truth now because I'm so with my soul where I'm like, yeah, this actually sucks for my human, but this is for the best.
Absolutely.
And this is where we're going.
Absolutely.
One of the things, you know, with the house example, that's so interesting. And I think so many women have this. It's like, so first from the house as the example, your house foundation had mold in it. There was issues with the foundation and the walls.
Like secret
mold.
It was crazy.
Which is, you know. And then so you're buying adornment for the walls where it's like, yeah, maybe this will fix it. But what I think what I did and what you also did was with the knots and the photos as the example is you as the woman that's doing everything in the relationship, carrying their relationship, focused on the growth of the relationship, focused on the health of the relationship, determining where your relationship's going to go. You are also the one that's like, let me do the knots, let me do the things. And there was no participant on the other end. And that was my experience too, where it's like, I was doing just running around in circles, over functioning, burning myself out, trying to do all of these things. And I think so many women are already in positions in their life where they're over functioning. They feel like they're responsible for the health of every relationship in their life, for their success in every area of their life, for every single thing in their life. And then they also, in their romantic relationships, feel like they're responsible for everything, that we have to make the date plans, we have to do the things. And it's like, the relationship should have active participation from both ends. There should be a, you know, if you're in a man and a woman, if that's your relationship, a man and a woman where the man is equally as invested as in the health of their relationship. Hey, I'm noticing that we're not doing well. This is what I'm looking to do. Like for so long, I didn't have an active participant. And now I'm looking forward to having that like.
Oh yeah. It's a whole other level.
It's another level.
And it's a whole other level for us of like receiving.
Yes.
Feeling safe to receive.
Yep.
Like you and I have a friendship and a dynamic where like I feel safe receiving from you. Like I practice receiving from you just as much as I feel more comfortable giving.
You're very giving.
I'm a giving person.
Very.
And what even just the shift in the end of this relationship. And I had moments in our dynamic and in our relationship over the 6 years that we were together where I'd hear little tidbits of like questions that people would ask at the beginning of dating. And I just was like, holy moly. I'm like, well, for me, I had been single and dating in LA for a decade plus, my what's the word I'm looking for?
I know what you mean.
Like
Bar.
my bar was literally like, I want safety and emotional warmth. I want to be claimed. That was it. I didn't ask any other questions. That now, being divorced and going through this journey of being with the same person for 6 years, my longest relationship in my life, I look and I'm like, oh my God, even already, like just again, being out in the world and just meeting people, whether it's friendships or it's people that I could potentially date, the questions I ask, and it's not to interview them, it's not to like put someone under scrutiny. I'm genuinely curious about how you function and where you're coming from. And I'm practicing that right now in safe dynamics because I realize that's something I never did. I just when he and I got together, I just wanted safety and I wanted someone to claim me because I hadn't felt either of those things in LA, dating in LA in such a long time. And so I remember as we were getting as we were getting deeper and deeper into the relationship, looking back, I'm like, okay, there were probably things on both sides where we just were like, I love this person and I'm comfortable with this person. So I'm just going to keep going. But it's so beautiful because I can't speak for him, but I know for me moving forward, I'm excited to see how to date consciously and how to really like have an experience where I'm like, who are you? I'm not jumping in so quickly because I look back on my history on this earth of dating people. It has always been quick because I just couldn't handle any
Uncertainty.
uncertainty. It just didn't feel safe. It didn't feel like something I could handle. And then I look back and I'm like, wow, I really don't know that I've ever truly chosen someone for me because I just always was like, I just want to be claimed. I just want to be safe or whatever, my goal is at that moment. And it's cool because now it's like, wow, in 2 years, I'm going to be 40 years old. And I remember before, he and I had this conversation and we were really going to move apart from each other. There was part of me that was like, wow, I'm so young. When I turned 35, all I thought about was death. I was like, oh my God, I'm dying soon. Like I just had a really weird experience turning 35. And then as I get deeper and like turning 38 and on, I feel so powerful and young. Like I feel healthier, happier, more confident than I've ever felt in my life. And that's also from like walking through the fire. Like that's why I share what I've experienced in this last year. Cause I'm like, I've walked through it with myself. And I had moments where like, I was like, I feel like I'm dying. And I was, and I have. It's like, sometimes you have these moments where like, you're laying on the floor because your loss of sense of self and your loss of sense of control. But there's always been a whisper and a knowing within me that's like, just wait. There's something so good. And then having amazing people around you. Because I don't think if I had the friendships that I had and the women around me, I don't know how I would have got through this year.
Oh, I know. Like, and what's beautiful is that we've been there with each other. And I think in friendship, and for anyone listening, like we've been so respectful of our process.
Yes.
Like the things that you heard me say about relationships and with my ex or others, anyone, it's just you've met me at my process where I am.
Yes.
And my goal has been to meet you at your process where you are.
Yeah.
Obviously, I had thoughts about your relationship and my desire for you. I would never impose that on you. I was going to be there with you, whatever you decided, because I trust you. And I think that's something that more immature female friendships miss is I remember when I was more immature and I was younger and I was like, no, she should break up with him. She should whatever. And it's like, then you create separation from that person because you judge them. Then they don't want to share with you or tell you.
Yep.
And you can have your opinion, but you share your opinion if it's wanted in a way that's loving, in a way that's seeing of their highest self, in a way that's like requested. And just like, if you are holding space enough and a mirror enough and loving enough, they're going to see.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
and I just having the experience of witnessing you see on the other side the truth of things like is like the happiest part of my year easily.
Well, I remember the day that the conversation initially entered for he and I called Gala. And I knew telling Gala and telling you, because I
remember that.
needed to have my own process with it. And that first time, we weren't ready. This was back in December. Like neither of us were ready. And I had to voice that to both of you. But I knew by telling the two women that I'm the closest with, two of my best friends, I knew that by telling you and feeling safe to tell you, even though I knew, because that's how we are as women, at least I know that's how I feel like we are. That's how I am in a friendship. I get protective, but I can be protective but not project. And that's really been my whole process. And I've appreciated that my babes have done that for me, because I had to I remember when I said this to both you and Gala in separate conversations, but I was like, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready. And I need to arrive to it in my own time and not to feel shame. And I think that's the deepest gift that we as women can give each other, because yeah, we may have the higher vantage point on someone's situation because our emotions aren't involved, but that does not mean that we can intercede on someone else's process. I think that almost violates like a cosmic law where we try to take someone's process from them. And I just feel like that also is a gift of maturing and having beautiful friendships.
Yeah.
And I also have a lot of mentors in my life and women who hold me accountable in that capacity as well. But it was just okay, I'll be ready when I'm ready. And the readiness came quickly, because I think when you create space for the truth, especially with people that love you and hold you accountable, I knew telling you guys that we were navigating really tough stuff, I knew that I had to hold myself accountable and not continue on. Because otherwise it would also jeopardize my friendships. And that's a no for me.
Yeah. I hear you. I think I don't know if it would have been, I think I had seen so much that at the point that we were at, I had a moment where I was like, oh, she's staying. I remember thinking that at some point. I was like, okay, she's staying. I'm locked into staying. I accepted it fully. I was like, cool, this is where we're at. And I forget what moment it was. It was at the end. But not that I had not denied it, but I hope I wouldn't have allowed it to do our relationship. But I think what's the hardest part is when you have someone in your life that doesn't see that is turning away to the truth. And that was me for years.
Yes.
God, I bless the people in my life. And because I remember dude saying stuff to people and then being like, what?
Yeah, literally.
Being like, what happened?
Yeah.
And you're just like, yeah, dad, and you're just like,
I remember that, babes.
Yeah.
God. We both had that experience 9 months before our wedding, where I remember going on a walk with you and you were in a big process. And I was like, I think I asked you and you were just like, no, I'm not doing that. And I was like, okay, I respect that. But then I had the exact same thing and you had asked me the same question a couple years later. So it's just it really is granting that grace.
Yep. Grace and trust. And if you have your friends, this is the thing, that's fine. Cornerstone of my friends is they're always working on themselves. They're always investing in their growth. They always have mentors. We are able to be in clear relationship.
Yes.
Of our connection. Yeah. I'm there for other connections and the availability of stuff, but it's not really my business. And and Lindsay was so powerful for me in that too. I remember one time we were sitting across that table recording the podcast, and I literally remember before the wedding being like, this isn't it. And she was like, Lindsay's just so ride or die. She's like, okay, cool. What are we going to do? And then I was like, obviously stayed in it, but it's interesting. What would you say about that? This was my thing too with the wedding is I didn't know what was normal in relationships.
Oh yeah.
I
That's the
didn't,
biggest issue.
and well, I guess exact that, and the second part of that is what I saw as normal in my mom and dad, bless them,
Yeah.
was a mother who was over functioning, doing everything in her masculine, having to take care of us, having to take care of others, them not being emotionally present and available for one another. So I saw at the end of my relationship duplicating a lot of what I saw
Yep.
in my parents. And I was like, yo, like I remember there was a Thanksgiving one year. I was with my family in Florida. My mom and dad hang out even though they're divorced. And so they had been divorced. We were at my dad's house before he got sick. And all the men were sitting around watching TV and they were watching sports, just literally like zoned out, sleeping, watching sports. And the women were cooking, cleaning, getting groceries, talking, doing all of this shit. And I just was like, oh, this would have been me. Like it would have been me just like, I'm like, no, I want a man who is engaged,
Yes.
involved,
Yes.
present, clocked in, like equal. Like I'm just like, whoa. And I just saw the patterns that I had been breaking and like the aspects of what I had seen growing up and not choosing that timeline and not
Yep.
choosing that life and
Yep.
being like, no, actually, the relationship I want isn't like this.
I think I called you one day. I was like walking through Sprouts, and it was the Sprouts where I grew up in Ahwatukee in Phoenix. And I remember having this moment, hearing this like song that I was like obsessed with in like middle school, which is basically about like this guy being obsessed with this girl. And I had this like, and this was when like my relationship was ending and I was seeing if I wanted to move out there. And I was just in a whirlwind. And I remember like hearing this song and then thinking about like all the Disney movies I watched when I was younger and just this paradigm that it created of like, it's so entrenched in here that I don't even know how to put words to it, but
Yes.
it's like created some kind of program.
Savior, a man saving you.
Yeah, man savior, like that is the only way to have like an exciting life. And it doesn't mean that it can't be beautiful. And like, but I've had to really look at like all the ways in which the programs and the stuff that was modeled for me especially when I was younger, because like the teen movies, like what is it, like 10 Things I Hate About
Yeah.
You, like all the millennial like teen romance movies,
Yep.
just all the things that we've been exposed to with so little actual guidance on like how to actually meet and maintain ourselves and hold a caliber for like a certain kind of partnership. Like
Yeah.
I say the word partnership because for me, that's what it is. Like that's my big breakthrough is just like, yes, I was in a relationship and there was love between us, but there was not partnering.
Yeah.
And especially moving forward, like I don't know if I'll have children in this life. Like I'm kind of 50-50 at this point. I would love to. I would love to have a family, but there's also part of me that's like I only want to do that with a partner. That's what I want for myself. And to rush that process just for the sake of having kids doesn't fit for me. And yet I even look back on like having a wedding and all of the things, like the way I look at that is so different now. Like I was even thinking about this the other day. I was like, when I meet my person that I want to be with and create a life with, I want to have like a long-term partnership party. Like we're going to have like a sexy long-term partnership party,
Love
which will
that.
emulate a wedding, but I don't know. And again, I could say this and it could change and I give myself that grace, but like I don't know if I will ever legally marry again. I don't
Yeah.
know how I feel about it. And I just think our generation, and I look at this astrologically, like Pluto and Scorpio generation, we are like line in the sand. We are a line in the sand generation because that Scorpio archetype is literally like this, not that. Yes to this, a huge no to that. And I even this weekend, I decided to share. First, I did a soft launch about getting divorced and I just shared it to my broadcast channel. Then I more openly shared it over this last weekend and the messages, the support, so many different things that have come through. But the biggest like message that came through from my women was like, congratulations for doing what was right for you. Like, congratulations on making a choice that works for you and that feels right. And that also just blasts that programming of like, because I felt like I needed to get married to also prove that I was worthy of being chosen. But the truth is, I don't know that he ever truly wanted to.
Totally.
I think that he just didn't want to lose the relationship. And he would tell me, he'd say, well, you know, you wanted it and you had the stronger desire. So I trusted what you wanted. And looking back now, I'm just like, I'm grateful for the experience. I've healed and grown as a woman. I mean, the reason I'm sitting in the energy I am right now is because of the last 6 years with this person.
For sure.
For the work that we've not only done together, but the work I've done on myself in reflection of the relationship. And it's just like, holy crap. Like,
Yeah. It's crazy
it's like
with that.
waking up from a really deep sleep.
Dude, it is actually. Him saying that is just so indicative of the truth. And it's just like, I think in dating
And
now,
I couldn't see it.
that's the
then.
whole thing is
You can't see it till you're on the other side.
Yeah. Yes. And in dating now, you will see it now.
Oh,
I'm listening.
I see everything now.
I'm listening to every word every man is saying to me. Like every word I'm listening to the in between because I'm like, oh, this is saying something about how you're seeing me. And not even in the way of being psycho, but it's like they'll tell you.
They tell you, everybody tells you everything.
Yep. And if you, this is like even with this one man that I was dating, oh, he told me. But I was like, his energy says something different. Because what
They
I was
tell
hearing
us.
was what I didn't want to hear. And then, you know, a few weeks in, my guides had to wake me up and be like, girl, he said what you need to know.
Yep.
You need to listen to what he said.
Oh my God.
Listen to the words that he said, because even if the energy is saying something different, they want you to hear the words that they're saying. So you can really hear, if you heard the truth of that, I don't want to get married, cool.
Yeah.
You know, but so many of us are like, they're going to change their minds or whatever. But
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest programming things that you were talking about previously that a lot of women have grown up with that I broke recently was around the savior programming.
Yeah.
Men saving me.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, okay, cool. I can be successful, but I'm always going to be saved by a man that's more successful than me.
Yeah.
The way that I want to get the life that I want is by doing my thing, but then the man is really going to take me to that next level.
Yes.
The man will provide the money. The man will provide the home. Like even my home was breaking that because I, for so long, was like, I can't wait to get a home with my man, or I'm going to move in with my man in his house.
I remember.
And then being like, okay, cool. God, I'm available for being in a home by myself without my man. And that was like one of the last parts where I was like, no man is going to provide me anything I can't provide myself. And I'm saying that with deep love and reverence for being my own inner masculine and my own inner feminine, my own inner father and my own inner mother.
Yes.
And it's not like I'm saying like, I don't want a man. Of course, I want that. I want that.
Yes.
But for so many of us, I think we always kind of have that like desire to be saved.
Yeah.
And when you have that, you're going to make decisions from a place that's not going to be helpful for you.
Oh, 1,000,000%. And I'm like unpacking that right now because I'm being really intentional. It's like, you know, I'm just living on my own again, moved into my place, which I love, very happy. I like being by myself. And I even realized, again, we can say this, there's this saying and like, there's like a Yiddish saying, this is like, if you want to make God laugh, make plans. And it's funny because my ex-husband and I at the beginning of this year were making all the plans for the year. And I heard that saying in my head, you want to make God laugh, make plans? And I was like, I'm like, interesting. It was very clear. I can tell when I'm getting a clear message because usually they're easy to ignore, but they're very clear. But I could be like, oh, whatever, it's fine. But it's interesting because the reason I bring that forward is because my feeling now moving forward is like, I will always have my own place. I always want to have my own place. But also to what you're saying, I had to talk through that with myself this week where I was like, yeah, you're here in this gorgeous 800 square foot apartment. I'm at the beach. But I'm like, yeah, but when I meet my man, that's when I'll buy a home. That's when I'll da-da-da-da. And being with that space of resistance inside of me that feels like I cannot do it alone And I feel like the reason that I broke out of, because you and I talked about this the first time you had me on the pod, which was, it feels like eons ago now, but it's like, I remember that's when I had met Mick. Actually, I met Mick and then you and I became really good friends. So this was all like a similar timeline. But I remember having that conversation with you and being like, I didn't meet someone to be in relationship with me until I really like met and mastered those masculine skills around like personal finance. Because I always would date people trying to get them to take care of the things that I thought I couldn't take care of, and I couldn't have been more incorrect. And that's why like I'm so obsessed and I love what I teach and do, because I think to call in something healthy and to be in something healthy, which is now an ongoing experiment for me, to have that part of me intact, because we call in what we are, and we call in also the unresolved issues that we haven't cultivated yet, whether it's someone you date for a week or someone you're with for 10 plus years.
Yeah.
It's just like we meet ourselves in each other.
Yeah.
And I think especially I'll say like from my perspective as a woman, like I think it's important that we know how to do those things for ourselves. I got so jealous though. I had such like a moment. I was watching reels and there's this reel that was really cute, but it actually really bothered me, and not for these people, but more so for the part of myself that I think kind of wants this, where there's I don't know if you saw this, like a compilation where they were like talking to their man and being like, hey, sorry, I can't pay the mortgage this month. I can't pay the rent this month. And the man's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, oh, that paradigm of someone just handling everything, there's still a part of me that like so yearns for that. But there's also a part of me that I don't know that I'll ever totally want
You
that.
will. Oh, I know. Yeah, it's like, that's the thing too. It's
I
like,
don't
but you know what's funny is you'll get
I'm
it when you
in
don't
an
want it.
experiment phase right now where I'm like, what do I want? And what
Yes.
am I available for?
I think it's like you get that stuff when you don't want it. You know what I mean?
And you don't need it.
Yes, exactly.
But already feeling in the energy of having my own back and coming out of this relationship, and fortunately being in a beautiful position because of my life and my business and everything, my friendships. I'm just like, oh, this is what it's like to be held in my own feminine.
Girl.
And I have to have that moving forward in any and all interactions, because that was not available to me in this relationship. It just wasn't the dynamic we created.
Yeah, I want to talk about that journey with being in the masculine and then moving into like a more feminine place, because I've seen you do that in your business and your personal life and relationships. And you know what's also funny too, babe, is that I think ours was mirrored too, where our bodies changed when we were in the feminine more. My style changed.
Yes.
Like my whole like energy changed and softened. And I don't think I ever had the desire to be more in my feminine. I think I had the desire to feel better. I had the desire to be more of myself. And I had the desire to be well and to heal.
Yes.
And so in that process, I healed and became more feminine and soft and true and real. And I think it's been so stunning. And now to be in a place where I'm in with dating, where I can be in the feminine, and it is like just the best experience.
It's a delicious experience.
Delicious.
So there was a book that an old client of mine gifted me called Intimate Communion by David Data. And it was about like ravenous, rapturous feminine. And I remember listening to it and being like, what? Like, is that an option? Because I've never felt safe. And when I look back on, because I've transformed my life, I went from $50 in my bank account, living here in LA, so ungrounded, so unbelievably unwell, to being like, I'm the only one who can save my life. I am the only one who can show up. Like that paradigm you were talking about, my old belief was like, someone is going to make this better for me. And I would date people based on what I felt they could do that I didn't think I could do for myself. So I was never, ever making clear choices. I've never totally made clear choices
You
in
know
that
what's
way.
interesting about that? Just wanted to bring that up is that's funny because I was the same, but then in relationship, it was all on me.
Yeah.
So having that
Ironic.
dichotomy where I'm like,
Yeah.
someone's going to save me, but in relationship, this is all my responsibility.
Yes.
I'm
Dude,
responsible
what
for
is
everything.
that? That
Isn't
is
that crazy?
insane.
Because I was like, for every part of it, the growth, the da-da-da-da-da-da, like all on me.
And I remember listening to this book, and this was a couple years ago, so I was still very much in my relationship, no plan really of ever not being in it. And I remember listening to this, and there's a test in it to like discover your like core what is it called? Like sort of your core polarity. And I was like, oh, my core is feminine, but I function as masculine because I've always seen that as the way that's going to save me, that's going to get me what I want, that's going to help me feel safe. And even like I think back on when I used to date here, and I remember going on a date with this man. I was probably 26 or 27. And I just remember having this hyper masculine shield up. And I literally remember being so rude to him. And because I was just terrified of him. He was very centered in himself, very tall, and just very like powerful in his own way. And I was so rude. And so it was weird. Like looking back, and I forgive myself. But then later we ended up dating, and he ran through that paradigm of mine. Like he bulldozed it and saw what like a hurt, insecure little girl I was. And that was like, obviously, nothing ever became of that experience. But that was where I got to really witness, even though it was maybe only a couple months, I think that we dated and we were like hooking up. I got to see that part of myself. So even in all my chaos in my life, I've always had self-awareness. And that's what I feel like has always helped me keep stepping up the steps. You know what I mean? Where it's like I'm aware.
Yes.
And I'm grateful to the people that I call in, from my marriage to the people that I've had flings with. Every single thing has shown me where I'm running a pattern and where I can heal so I can be happier and I can actually create what I want.
God, that is, I think, a number one aspect of my friends is self-awareness. Because
We
I never
all
have to
have
worry.
that.
I never have to worry. I'm like, we're all good. You're all good. You're seeing this. I'm watching you. You're watching me. And in the flings, yeah, it is so beautiful because when you're a conscious person, you can have so much fun with it and use it for growth and use it for depth. And I think being able to now be completely safe within myself and in my body, and that safety in myself and my body allows me to be completely surrendered in my feminine with men,
Yes.
is like, I'm so grateful that I'm not going to die without having experienced it.
Yeah.
It is making me
same.
emotional to think about. It's the most beautiful thing on earth to
It
be with a
is.
man and be fully surrendered.
Yeah.
Whether it's sex, whether it's intimacy, whether it's connection. And it is like the most magnetic thing on earth.
It is. It's
you
so
know?
special.
Like and I think when women are in the masculine, it's because of fear.
Yes.
The masculine is a shield. You
It is.
are, as a trauma response, responding from fear by being in the masculine because the masculine is what is accepted in society. So you're looking to fit in, you're looking to feel safe by being in the masculine, in a masculine world, in the masculine paradigm. And so the more secure you became in yourself, the more secure I became in myself, the less masculine we felt we needed to be, and the more feminine we could be, and the more soft we could be. And I think so many women right now are running so much masculine energy because they don't feel safe in themselves. They don't feel safe in their life. And I think I was in relationship being in the masculine, and then I was with someone that was more feminine because I was running so much masculine.
Yep.
I remember one of my guy friends said after my divorce, he's like, you are like water now. He's like, you are so soft and like all of these things. And he's like, well, it's because you had two husbands. You had Lindsay and you had your husband. Or no, you had two wives. You had Lindsay and then you had your husband. And I was like the man. I was the man of the house. I was the man with Lindsay. I was the man with him. And stepping out of that and being able to be like, I'm going to create safety within myself. I don't need anyone else. Oh, it's just so beautiful. So if we were both, I guess, to give people advice on, or women advice on how to be in their feminine more, what would you say?
I just love that you're even asking me this because a couple years ago, I had a client and I remember she was like, "Can you give me some perspective on being more in my feminine?" She owned a business and I was like, "No,
I
I
love you.
can't give you that advice." I said, I don't know how. I'm not." And I had to be honest. And that was a kind of a jarring moment, but I didn't know what I was missing until now. I didn't know. And so I suppose my perspective and being like a really loving, gentle little newbie with this. It's funny because every morning that I wake up now, I listen to feminine affirmations on YouTube. I'm
Love.
loving them.
Love.
I used to like I used to judge stuff like this, to be honest, because it didn't feel safe. And when I was in that hyper masculine of like, this is what I'm gonna feel safe within, I just saw all of that stuff as silly.
Me
And that's kind
too.
of funny how they're like, haha, well, you'll be on our team real soon.
Yep.
But I believe that just to touch into this and then I'll share my some perspective that I have. But I just feel like this kind of thing, the feminine is experiential. It's not of the logic, it's not objective. It is an experiential state of being that you can't force. The moment you're forcing it is the moment you ain't in it and it's not real. And I feel like, again, this is so new for me because stepping out of my relationship and stepping out of the dynamic that we created, it's just been remarkable that's why I said the word delicious, because my experience of it is delicious. And something I've been thinking about lately is how easy it is. And that used to piss me off is when people would say it's easy. And I'd be like, what do you mean? Everything's hard. Everything's hard. If you're not struggling for it, then it's not real. And so I would just say, maybe to anyone who maybe sees a little bit of themselves in where I've been and what's felt safe for me to embody, you know, to practice allowing life to guide you. I remember many, many years ago, I went to my first festival. I think I was like 22, and I was walking around this like altar, and it was like this living altar. It was so beautiful. And I remember there was this beautiful little placard, and it said, longing and yearning is the feminine aspect of God. Like to long and to yearn is the aspect of the divine that is so magnificent. But we had like, I was like, what do you mean? I don't want to long or yearn for anything. But what life has taught me, and especially recently, because I've had to be in the magic dark so many times and sit there and say, I trust you while I'm feeling like I'm dying. And then right around the corner is something that blows my mind. Right around the corner is the thing that I've always asked for, that I've always wanted. You can't control. I've lived my life attempting to control everything all the time. It's how I was raised. My mom, who I love deeply, she's a Capricorn. Control is her DOC, her drug of choice. Like that's what I learned. And as I get older, I see every single thing I've ever tried to control and maneuver to meet my fears that I thought would make me feel safe. Those are always the things I had to freaking get myself out of at some point that got complicated, that were misaligned. And now it's like, to me, to be in the feminine and to be in that place of receptivity in your life, how much like faith can you have? How much can you like let go of needing something or someone to fit your mold and know that you are guided and taken care of? Like, and I'm in deep practice with that right now. But I even had like a little experiment with myself a couple weeks ago as I was stepping out of this. And I was like, your body will tell you everything. I'm like, so when you're meeting people, whether it's like friendships or a potential business partnership, or maybe like a guy is talking to you, you just listen to your body. your body will tell you. And that to me also is another aspect, I think, of feminine safety that I never experienced in my life, is like feeling safe to be embodied in this body. And I think I've seen both of us move through that in such a beautiful way.
100%. Yeah, that was so beautiful. I think for me, my advice for women getting into the feminine, I think is something you noted, but it just made kind of light bulbs for me. I had such judgment of the feminine. And so I think breaking through to desire to be in the feminine, but then also having judgment of it is two different energetic signatures. My judgment of the feminine was, it's lame, so corny. Like, I just felt like it was corny, cheesy, lame, And I'm like, wow, I had so much media programming around what it was to be in the feminine or what it meant. It meant that you weren't cool, you were soft, all these things. So I had to let go of judgment of that, and I still have some judgment of it that I have to work through around that. I think for me, it's seeking to find more wholeness and where I can find more love within myself. And the feminine is naturally a place of love. So is the masculine. But when I find that whole completeness, that's where I can find more femininity. And then really focusing on my inner mother, that very nurturing aspect of me. I'm very, very nurturing. And if I'm an inner mother to all the aspects of me, all the parts that I'm shameful, that I feel guilty about, all the parts that, are ugly or shadowy, and I can have love and reverence and acceptance for that. That is the ultimate femininity. Like seeing everything with reverence and love and giving myself grace is just such a stunning thing. I think also too, changing the way that I worked was really important, and finding more safety from like a financial and like a stability perspective is huge. Allowed me to soften, allowed me to move. And I think lastly, getting out of relationship dynamics with friends. I was even in friend relationships like this, who you saw, and romantic, that were people that were creating a lack of safety within myself, which made me feel like I had to be in protective mode, which was more strategic, more controlling, and more masculine. But the movement towards greater femininity and softness is like such a beautiful, powerful journey that, I want for everyone, and I want for the world, because this type of openness and receivership, I think, is just such a stunning place to be.
I was recently hanging out with one of my good mom friends. Her name is also Lindsay, and I had given her Beam's Dream Powder. She had been struggling with her sleep a little bit, and I was like, try this. That's my secret sauce. It's just the best. I think all of us have struggled with sleep at one point or another, and she really struggled to like stay asleep, and sleep deeply throughout the night and just kind of go through the entire sleep cycle properly. And this made such a difference. I was like happy. I knew it was going to happen because I was like, yes, this worked for me. It's made such a difference in my life to be able to sleep deeply, wake up feeling refreshed and not like super groggy. So I'm really excited to share that Beam's Dream Powder is your best friend when you go to bed. It's a healthy nighttime blend packed with science-backed ingredients shown to improve sleep so you can wake up refreshed and feel ready to take on the day. I used to wake up like halfway through the night and just feel like wired. It was weird. Like I couldn't go back to sleep very well. But this has allowed me to sleep fully through the night, 8 hours if MAP doesn't get up. And I wake up feeling energized, not groggy. It's honestly been a game changer for me. It's made with a powerful blend of all natural ingredients, including reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. No artificial flavors, sweeteners, or unnecessary additives, just clean, high quality ingredients. That's why I love you, Beam. I can trust you. Beam has already improved over 17.5 million nights of sleep, helping people across the country wake up and feel their best. So incredible. So here's the deal. Beam is giving our listeners their best offer yet of up to 40% off. So try their best-selling Dream Powder and get up to 40% off for a limited time. Go to shopbeam.com/almost30 and use the code almost30 at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/almost30 and use the code almost30 for up to 40% off, because true wellness begins the moment you close your eyes. Try Beam today. We are so excited to share one of our latest obsessions in our supplement lineup. is the Metabolic Daily Supplement by Pendulum. This is disrupting the probiotics market with clinically studied strains that aren't available anywhere else. They're the only company with Akkermansia, a next generation strain that's called the Keystone strain for gut health. We know this. Gut health is one of the most important pieces of our health because it's connected to virtually everything. Our brain health, our immune system, and so much more. And so if we start there, I have a feeling a lot of our discomforts and dis-eases could be helped. You can get it as a single strain or in Metabolic Daily. And so Metabolic Daily has a powerful multi-strain probiotic that improves your metabolism, reduces sugar cravings, breaks down carbs more efficiently, and sustains your energy levels. I'm sure you've also heard about metabolic health and how important it is. As someone who likes to indulge every once in a while in things that are a little bit sweeter or my carbs, I make sure to be taking my Metabolic Daily just to make sure that the blood glucose spikes aren't as high. It helps me break it down much more efficiently. So I cannot wait for you to try this. You're going to get 20% off your first month of any Pendulum product membership with code ALMOST30. So go to pendulumlife.com and use the code ALMOST30 at checkout. Again, you're going to get 20% off your first month of any Pendulum product membership. That's Pendulum Life, PENDULUM life.com. Code is ALMOST30.
I want to acknowledge you and us because I'll never forget. I was living in Palm Springs a couple years ago, and I remember calling you on the phone, and we were both so in it in our relationships because there was part of us. I think there's little moments of our soul's journey where we just have these like deep moments of clarity, but we're maybe not ready. Our human self isn't ready to execute the change or the mission just yet. But I'll never forget like you and I being on the phone and both of us having this moment of realizing how over like the over functioning piece and how exhausted we felt.
I remember
And
where I
how
was.
our polarities were so off and like the sexual dynamic was off. And like, I know there was this part of us. I think there's also this paradigm in women, at least I've identified it in myself, where it's like, I can fix it. I can heal it. It's on me. It's on me. It's on me. And it's just like, I just think when we're in union and we're in partnering, and again, like this will be TBD as I go through my journey, but it's just like, I'm so curious and excited to see like what God universe has for me, where I can be in like the communion where we're both really all hands on deck. And it doesn't feel like I have to, overfunction.
Yeah, I think that's
Because
so
it's
many
also
women
taking
right now.
sovereignty from him too.
Yeah. Oh, well,
By doing that.
and that was actually what was my unlock, where I was like, this isn't loving to him.
It's not.
You're not loving to him right now. You think that you're being loving to him because you see a better future for him. You see more, but that's not. You wanting to change him is not love.
Yes.
And this is where I think it gets tricky in our personal growth and self-development space with relationships, is that we now believe we have the power to change and transform anything.
Yes.
And I
so
think
real.
women take that on and then apply that to other people. And it's actually about you, changing your relationship with yourself, your relationship with your life, not applying that to things outside of you. And I think I thought if I changed enough, I could change another person.
Yes, same.
And you just change your relationship dynamic and eventually they vibrate out.
Yeah.
And so I had to stop trying to focus so much on changing other people. I think a lot of the work I do with women one-on-one is coming back in. This is about you. This is actually not about someone else. It's about coming back in. But it's been so beautiful to see you in this process. And I'm so grateful, to have had you. Like it wouldn't have been the same without you, and I know that for you as well. And now to have similar journeys where we can be dating together it's
pretty fun.
It's a delight.
I mean, you're deeper in than me, and I'm just like, oh, I'm excited. I feel more ready because of like our conversations. I love you so much.
It's so much fun.
It's so sweet.
I send like voice notes at like 12 a.m. I'm like,
oh my God.
hello.
We have our own podcast. Like our text thread is just
It is
hilarious.
insane.
And then we send each other like our outfit selfies.
And then like I send you like, yeah, it's just,
It's the
there's
best. I'm
no
so
words.
grateful for
It's
you.
the best. You going through big transitions and such a huge process and being able to navigate them and being able to have a good relationship with change is like a huge through line of our book, almost 30. Being able to navigate and be with change, because that is like an undercurrent of your life. And especially when you want a big life and when your soul came here for more. You as an astrologer, how do you see the Saturn return? Because I do want to kind of land on for our audience the importance of not only Saturn return, but being able to navigate times of change and transformation.
I mean, as a Capricorn rising, so your ascendant sign, you have a planetary ruler. So for me, Saturn rules my chart. It rules like how I function. You're a Virgo rising, so Mercury rules how you function and like look what you do. So Saturn is an energy that I've learned to absolutely become best friends and deeply respectful of. A lot of people, and I think kind of in like mainstream astrology, people can get real hung up on Saturn return. And guess what? Saturn's a part of your life. It's you have Saturn returns, Saturn squares, Saturn oppositions. Saturn is always engaging with you in some capacity, but the Saturn return and the Saturn square, the Saturn opposition, those are some key points and moments in your life where essentially what is happening is that your soul, wherever Saturn is placed in your chart, which is what the Saturn return is alluding to, wherever Saturn is placed in your chart natally, that is a space and place of your soul's blueprint, your soul's journey that's like, I haven't figured this out yet. I have a lack of maturity in this area of my blueprint. So I got to do some growth here. And that's why the Saturn return, our first Saturn return in our late 20s, is so, it can be cataclysmic and freaking rock you to your core because your soul has not taken classes in that area just yet. And you're being asked to mature, grow, and even heal in a really big way that you haven't done yet. So Saturn is such a special energy, truly. I actually just taught a masterclass recently because I love this energy so much. Because when you make peace with it, you can create anything. And to speak to the Saturn return specifically at the late 20s, that's also the idea as well of like you maturing and placing a through line, like actually more of a line in the sand between your young self and who you're growing and stepping into. And you have to know that like when you take accountability for your life and you don't avoid what is hard and you integrate it, that is actually what creates the freedom, the liberation, the spaciousness, the clarity for you to intentionally receive the life that you so deeply want. And I learned this from Jen Sincero, but the word desire, desire, is like of the Father. It's like desire, the desires you have that, and I also think this is a part of the feminine too, is like resting and accepting our desires. It's even why I knew I had to leave my relationship and why my relationship was over for both of us, because we were not getting our desires met, our deep core desires.
Yep.
So consider Saturn and Saturnian energy to be a magnificent catalyst that actually helps you to create the life you desire. But you're going to have to become the person who can handle it, the person who can create it, and the person who, once you receive it, can maintain it. And that's what Saturn energy helps you do.
That's
so
huge.
Your Saturn return helps you that. And, like when I've talked to my community this last year, they're like, girl, you've been going through it. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's my Saturn square. I'm 37. And Saturn square, the way I see that, it's a square in astrology is like a very pressurized point for opportunity for integration. And oh my God, it's like I had to take the budding awareness from my Saturn return in my late 20s And then Saturn checks in and is like, have you really integrated this? And, Saturn also rules the father. So losing my father, and not to say you have a Saturn square, you're going to lose your father. But for me, that's how it materialized. And it's just like all of these things and these Saturnian themes. But on the other side, I'm living my desire and I've given myself the open space for the universe to play through and express through my life instead of me trying to control. So Saturn energy will teach you that, but it will not be easy, especially if you resist it.
Mm-hmm.
The big one.
Huge. I love the desire piece of the feminine, because that's what I practiced recently in this dating relationship, being in full clear desire,
Yes.
owning my desire in this like really feminine, truthful way. But the desire comes like this way instead of this way where it's grabby and reachy. It's like full desire and full surrender.
Love
I am
that.
in full desire for this from my heart, but I'm in full surrender if it manifests.
Oh, I love that.
It's just like so beautiful. But yeah, the Saturn return period and really that period shows us how to be with times of change. And it really can create this relationship where we can approach change with excitement and
Yes.
grace
Yes.
and grit and like seeing it as an opportunity for better. And I think in the book, that's my deepest desire, is to really help people see that this change that they're going through or experiencing can be the opportunity to build a life that they love. And for all the changes that they want in their life, that this can be the time when they get them, because it's happening. Like even for you, it's like this change in your relationship happened because you desired a greater relationship, life experience. And now that desire is manifesting, and this is a part of that. Even though it's hard and sad, this is a part of that process.
Yeah, a big thing that's been coming through for me lately is like sometimes we want these things, but we don't realize that we have to let go of something in order for there to be space. And I know that's true for both me and my ex-husband. Is just like for him to call in and create the life he wants, he had to let go of me and I had to do the same. And I think that that is such a loving act to be able to do that. And not even, let's say, in the context of solely a relationship, but also to yourself. Sometimes we think letting go of something, we're just experiencing loss. We're not seeing the full totality of what we're gaining and what we have the potential to experience.
That's like just energy and physics. It's like the losing creates the void for the thing to be filled up in.
Yes.
And I really, really love the piece that you mentioned. And I've been talking about this recently, where it's like, if you want these things that you are saying you want in your life, you have to trust that you're being sculpted to hold them.
Yep.
Because if
My
you are
favorite
sitting
concept.
in your basement, living at home, in a job that you hate, in a body you hate, in relationships that you hate, and then you're desiring to be in a place where you love your relationship, you love your life, you're making tons of money, you feel sexy and hot, you have, everything you want, you in that place could never hold that.
Exactly.
And I've had to realize and learn that too. Each day I'm expanding my capacity to hold greatness and hold love and hold joy. Like even today, I've had a really beautiful, soft day. I've just been weeping all day from love and just the Holy Spirit in my life today. And like, I am right now in this moment, opening every single aspect of my cellular and auric being to hold more love and to hold more light and to hold more goodness. And that capacity has to be gently brought on, or else you just would never. That's why people, when they win the lottery, they lose it immediately. They don't have the strength and capacity to hold that type of energy.
This is also one of my favorite conversations, because that's how I see money, is like, it's not about this is actually the core of my work. And it took me years to figure this out. But I was like, we have to remember, and I've learned this the hard way. It's not literally about, I'm going to make more money and that's going to solve everything. You have to be the kind of person who knows how to hold money and take care of it. And money is a relationship just like any other. Just like if you and I, Krista, and like the caliber of like woman that you are and the caliber of woman that I am, we've also had, in the many years we've been friends, we've had to grow and evolve to be the type of friend that can hold each other. And also to be the type of friend, just like that beautiful concept we were talking about, taking it back to that, where we don't project, we hold space, but we also guide. Like, and I think we've both had to teach each other
Yeah.
that in our dynamic because we're so strong
Yep.
and we're powerful and we can see things and we want to help. But I think there's been this magnificent, and I'll say from like my experience of being in your life where it's like, I've also learned how to check myself and how to hold myself and grow and heal and let go of certain aspects that couldn't hold you, that couldn't meet you in the woman you're becoming. And I think that everything worth having and holding in our lives, it will require us to step into our potential, and we will not always like it. Like Saturnian energy, speaking of that, we will not always like the lessons of Saturn in our lives. We won't always like these life transitions. But just because something is tough, it doesn't mean it isn't right for you. And I just think that's like, I feel very grateful to have this Capricorn ascendant. When I was younger, being an Aries, there's a square between those signs. It was very hard and I kind of hated it. And this is even before I was aware of astrology and aware of my natal chart. But it's like looking back, I'm like, oh my God, getting these two things to meld and communicate has truly helped me become such a powerful, impactful person, not only to myself, but for other people. So
Yeah, I love that. In the book, one of our taglines is turn your mess into magic.
I love that.
And it's really about that, like turning what you think maybe is rock bottom or is the worst into something that's like beyond what you could have ever dreamed. What are you right now? What would you say to a woman that's navigating a time of like great change or even like a divorce?
Oh, I would just say, like, oh my God, well, first, like, just know you're loved. Know that there is love inherent in what feels like the tower, what feels like the deepest pain of your life, where you're sitting, the amount of times I've woken up in the middle of the night to be like, what is like, grief is powerful and grief can be frightening because it feels like it envelops you. But just know that in that void is where the magic can meet you. It's where God universe can meet you. It's where your team can meet you. It is where you can be shown up for. And just know that, just as we were talking about, sometimes to actually call in and hold space for what you truly desire and the life that you are here to lead, that source knows is yours, sometimes you will have to let go and you will have to be alone, or you will have to surrender something that made you feel safe in order to really step into the magic and to trust that you're right where you're meant to be. And I know that for certain because, yeah, that's been my whole process this last year.
I'm
And it will continue to be.
elated
It's so great.
to have you on this journey.
This is so great.
The joy
I
of a
love
lifetime.
where this went, babe. This
I'm
is so
so
beautiful.
I can't tell you how happy. There's actually no one in my life that I'd rather have single with me. So
I remember there were moments where I'd call you and you were like having a fun time. And I'd be like, there's this part in my heart that was like, gosh, I would love to experience that right now. But I was like, there's aspects of this that are great. I love being partnered, da-de-do. But there was this deeper yearning in me that was like, I want to go to Equinox with Krista today. Like,
you want to go to where my fishing hole?
Oh, it's just so funny.
Europe.
Your stories are just the greatest. I feel like they just pulled me through.
That's the thing
babes.
is I'm like, I don't know if I can find a man because the richness of the stories I have.
Oh, I've had this conversation with male friends of mine where they're just like, I want partnership or I want this or I want that. But like, I'm enjoying like what I'm doing right now.
Totally.
And I think that's another thing we just surrender control around, because when you know, I truly believe that. And yeah, it's just, this is the perfect season right now.
It's so fun. I love you so much.
I love you, baby.
I'm so proud of you.
I love you.
Okay, guys, we'll see you on the next one. We love you so much. Bye-bye. Thank you so much, Natty Ice. Natalia Benson coming to you live. Hope you guys enjoy that one.
Love you. Yeah, you can follow her on Instagram at Natalia Benson, NataliaBenson.com. And make sure to pre-order our book, almost30.com/book. Krista and I are so proud and so excited for this to be on your bedside table. We really believe that this is going to be a guide for you in any season of change. You know, whether you're going through your late 20s into your 30s, or maybe you're moving through an intense season of change at another point in your life. It is full of personal stories and wisdom from podcast guests, research, science. It is packed. We love you. We appreciate you.
We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.